Good morning guys. We've got a slightly different episode today. So we've seen quite a lot of people travelling through Queensland at the moment. So this is just our 2 cents of the top 10 most underrated places that you need to add to your Queensland road trip bucket list. Now we feel like Queensland is probably the one state that we have done justice. We've done a fair bit of it. We spent 6 months there when we first started our lap. And the only places that we haven't visited were the top northeast corner, up near Lawn Hill and all of that, which we have heard is absolutely worth it. And we only went as far west as Windora. So don't get us wrong, there are still some places that we haven't been, but of all of the places that we have been, we thought that we would just put together this list for you. So starting at number 10 is Byfield National Park. So Byfield National Park is up near the Rockhampton Yeppoon area, and it is a national park, so unfortunately dogs aren't allowed, but we put Chaos in a kennel for a couple of days. So we spent, I think it was 2 nights, which we would recommend minimum 2 to 3. Depending on what setup you have, will determine how many times you would move camp. So we had the camper trailer, so we did only stay at the one campground for the whole time. But if we had the setup that we had now, we would definitely move to some of the bush camps and even along the creek. So our favourite things in Byfield were obviously the beach camping. Secondly, make sure that you head down to Five Rocks Beach. Now I feel like this track is overlooked quite a bit, but it was a long single lane track right down to another beach where in our case we had it completely to ourselves and it was 110% worth the drive. Now there are a bunch of different campgrounds. There's a camping right on the beach, there's camping at Stony Creek, and there's even a dog-friendly campground more inland in the national park. Number 9 is a little bit more of an obvious one, and that's Fraser Island, but more specifically the west side. Most of the camping is on the east coast, and you do have to book well in advance to get onto the west coast. But even if you can't get a campground over there, when the east coast is windy, you can guarantee that the west side will be perfect. We just could not believe the contrast of the 2 coasts. The water on the west side was just incredible. Obviously there is the infamous Engella rocks, which takes you right up to the tip of Fraser, which you do have to be quite considerate of the tide times because you can only get up there on certain tides. Now if you've watched any of our Fraser videos, we did not make it to the Cape both times, but we do plan on getting back there to make sure that we tick that place off. And lastly with Fraser, make sure you get up nice and early to beat the crowds and head to Champagne Pools. I'm telling you, it is worth it. It is so beautiful, and you gotta time your tides right again, but if you can get those right, you get a nice little rock pool all to yourself, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Number 8 is the Sunshine Coast region, but not the beach. We're talking more the inland, bush camping, bush walks, dog friendly. There is so much to see in that area. But just to recap on those spots, we've got Ammermoor, we've got Glastonbury Creek, there's a few nice hip camps up in Kenilworth, and make sure you stop in at the Kenilworth Bakery, get a pie and a donut, and then head across the road to the cheese factory and get yourself a cheese tasting. You won't regret it. There's also up that way is Mullaney. There are a lot of beautiful waterfalls to go check out. And then there's also Glasshouse Mountains up that way. So for the four-wheel drive enthusiasts, there are so many different tracks you could take. And if you want a really nice camp, one of our absolute faves is Newram Creek. Make sure to ask for one of the campgrounds up on the hill and you will get a wicked view and an absolutely stunning sunset. It's still one of our favorites to this day. Number 8, we are heading into the outback. A place that we don't actually see a lot of is Windora. Now there's not a lot there, and it is a very long single lane road, nothing else in sight. But once you get there, trust me, you need to head out to the big sand dunes. Beautiful red sand dunes. It feels like something that should be in another country, and you watch the sunset go down over the plains, and it is just incredible. There are a few camps. There's the caravan park, which we stayed at. I believe that you can also stay behind the pub, and I think that there's a few free camps just outside of town as well. Number 7, we're heading right up to the top of Queensland. Cape York, but we're talking right from the Daintree. We find that a lot of people do consider the top end to be only for four-wheel drives, but we do think that it is worth heading up that way even if you don't have a four-wheel drive. Even if you're not planning on doing any of the tracks, it's still worth going up there, and it is possible, but if you do have a capable vehicle, it is well worth it. The Daintree, you start in one of the World Heritage rainforests. It is absolutely stunning, some gorgeous beaches, lots of places to pull over. And then obviously there is the four-wheel driving tracks up there as well, which is what Regan was most excited for. Camping along the old Telly track was just one of our absolute highlights of our lap so far. You're free camping on these gorgeous little creeks, watching people drive through in all the different rigs, all the different setups. We just had a battery change, but as I was saying, Cape York must do. Whether you can get a group of people to go up and do the tracks, or you just want to stick to the two-wheel drive options, definitely add it to your list. As soon as we left, Regan started planning the next time we could get up there. Can't remember what number we're up to. I think we're up to number 6. Number 6, we have to say Atherton Tablelands. Now this place kind of speaks for itself. You can see all the clips on the screen. Beautiful waterfalls. You can take the Milla Falls circuit. There is some cute little campgrounds around. So one of our favourite campgrounds in that area was Lake Tinaroo. But there are heaps of camps. They're all state forests or national parks. So they're roughly $7 per person per night, which I think is an absolute score. They usually have toilets. Some of them have cold showers. And yeah, you could easily spend a week in that area just going to all the different waterfalls, all the different campgrounds. It is one of the most beautiful parts of Queensland, so make sure to add that one to your list. We're gonna head a little bit into central Queensland now. We have talked about this place before, but one of our absolute favorite national parks is Atherton Tablelands. Now, Atherton Tablelands National Park is near the town of Dingo, and if you stay at the caravan park, sometimes they will let you leave your dog by your caravan or camp trailer, which we had at the time, and they'll look after them while you go into the national park. All I can say is make sure to give yourself plenty of time. We kind of wish we had 2 days to do it. We tried to rush it all into one, and we did miss a few of the walks, but there is just so many gorgeous waterholes, secret little waterfall, and it is one of those national parks that isn't entirely well signed. So you do have to, walk off the beaten track a little bit. And that was our favorite thing about the park, is that you made your own adventure. So definitely check that place out. We are into our top 3 of the most underrated places. We're going to start at number 3 with Cathu State Forest. So Cathu State Forest is kind of in the Mackay region. We stayed at a really, really nice hip camp called Hold It Flats, and then we spent the day heading into the state forest. It is a bit of a build your own adventure. Make sure you download a map offline. There is so much four-wheel driving. It's all a dirt road up a bit of a mountain, and you need to follow your nose to find the hidden gorge up there. If anybody has watched that episode, we actually spent a few hours in there trying to find it. We thought that we had driven past it, turned back around, went back down to the camp, and we spoke to the owner of Hold It Flats, who told us that we just had to keep on going a little bit further. So we whipped up some lunch, turned around, went back in there, kept on driving, kept following our nose. It got a little bit sketchy. We even stopped right at the top of the hill and then walked down the rest of the way. Let me tell you, once you get there, it is absolutely incredible. You have a beautiful view right over the valley of the trees, and then you've just got this gorgeous little waterfall and rock hole right there. And there was nobody else in sight for kilometers. We were the only people in there. We hardly saw any other cars the entire day. Number 2, we are in a similar region, but number 2 is Engella. I believe that is how you pronounce it. Now, if you want a really cool and unique little camp to stay at, Platypus Bush Campground. It is so nice there. You are just in the rainforest. There's a nice little creek that you get all to yourself. Possibility of seeing platypus. We didn't see any there, but we have been told that there's plenty in there. A really unique shower experience. Best part is it is only a 2-minute drive to the Finch Hatton Gorge, where there are some really nice walks to some beautiful waterholes. So we got up nice and early and we pretty much had the place to ourselves. So well worth it there. Another awesome campground near Engella is the Engella Dam. Believe it was about $8 per person per night. Other than all of the cow poop everywhere, it was a really beautiful spot. It was so quiet. It is quite a long dirt road to get there, but once you are there, spend a couple of days just chilling by the dam. Some beautiful sunsets over the hills. 10 out of 10. Number 1. Now this is probably the most underrated place in Queensland that we've been to, and that is Carnarvon. So Carnarvon National Park, there is 2 parts to it. Again, if you've seen our episode, you'll know the dilemma that we had, that we actually passed Carnarvon Gorge and went to the other end of the national park. But I have been to Carnarvon Gorge as a kid, and I can tell you it is one of the most incredible rock formations, beautiful hiking. There's some gorgeous campgrounds in there. It is just absolutely stunning. But the other end of the park that Regan and I went to, we stayed at the Darganelli campground, which was really nice. We spent 2 nights in there. Get up nice and early and go do the circuit drive. Along the way there are multiple different walks that you can do, heading to all of the different rock formations, the indigenous art. Just the drive alone, it was just one of the most beautiful scenic drives that we have done. You're just driving down a dirt road, not many other people in sight. The bird life is amazing. We've seen emus. The views are incredible. There's a little bit of 4-wheel driving that you can do. Some of the most incredible views that we have ever seen. I think a lot of people that do go to Carnarvon, they do go to the Carnarvon Gorge side. Now don't get me wrong, that is absolutely spectacular, but I think the other side of it is very underrated. Not many people go there, so it's a lot quieter. It was absolutely worth it. There's just so much to do in there, and we would definitely go back there in a heartbeat. Obviously, there are so many more places in Queensland that are worth visiting. Like we said, we just wanted to give our 2 cents as to what we think are some of the most underrated places. Yeah, give you some ideas and inspiration to add to your next Queensland road trip. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can follow along our adventures, and we'll see you guys in the next one.